Do you want to know how to cut layers? Well, then you need to know all about angles. So check this out. An angle is when two lines intersect at any given point. When we do a blunt haircut, all of the hair is coming all the way to the bottom. So I'm going to hold the hair at a 0-degree elevation. When I think about elevation, I think of it like an elevator. Elevators move up and elevators move down. Every time the elevator goes up, 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 I'm creating different angles. And if I take it down, 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 I'm creating a different angle. For the blunt haircut that you'll find in one of my other videos, the hair is held at a 0-degree elevation. People are cutting and they're cutting the hair out here and they think it's bang on and it's perfect. If they're cutting a straight line out here, they might be doing a fantastic job creating layers around the bottom of the haircut. But this is not 0 degrees. If you look at the hair in relation to where the head is, you can see that I've created approximately a 45-degree angle. That is not what we want for our blunt haircut. This straight down is a 0-degree elevation. This would be considered a 45. Straight out from the head would be considered 90 degrees. And then straight up is going to be considered about a 180. So these are really, really, really important angles to remember for the upcoming haircuts that we're going to be doing. Did you know that elevation creates graduation, which is basically layers in the hair? If you're doing a haircut and you're holding the hair below 90 degrees, so straight up from the head we know will always be 90 degrees. If you're cutting below 90, then you're creating weight in your haircut. So there's haircuts like a blunt haircut or a graduated bob, might be at about a 45, something like that. Anything above 90 and above, you're getting into creating a lot of layers. When you create a lot of layers, you're releasing a lot of weight. This is really important to remember. If you have someone that has super, super thick hair, you can layer all day long. But if you have someone with really fine hair, you have to be really careful that you don't cut too many layers in there. So you may want to cut at a 45 instead of a 90 or a 180 to ensure that you get the full beautiful result that you're looking for. When you're cutting, you're going to be using a cutting line. So we know that our guideline is that very first section of hair that we cut. That sets the tone for the whole haircut. But a cutting line is a little bit different. Your cutting line is actually the angle at which you're going to hold your fingers. If I do a diagonal back with my fingers, I'm actually going to get shorter toward the face. So depending on what the client is looking for will depend on your cutting line or the angle that you're going to hold your fingers. Now, this can be tricky. If you've been a hairdresser for a while and you're wondering, gee, I always end up being like a little shorter on one side, I'm not really sure why. This might be the reason. If you are right-handed, you're holding the hair with your left hand. With your left hand, we tend to relax our elbows, especially if we're a little bit tired. Notice what happens when I relax my elbow. I create a diagonal back line and I'm going to be cutting shorter toward the face. If you're left-handed and you're holding the hair with your right hand, then you may find that you have one side that actually goes longer toward the face. Be really, really careful with how you're holding your fingers. Your fingers are your cutting line. They are following the guideline that you have put in the hair. So if you put in a guideline that's all like this, then that's the angle of the haircut that you're gonna have. Did you know that there's a couple of different guidelines that you can use in your haircut? So you can have an interior guideline or an exterior guideline. An interior guideline is one that's located inside the haircut. So if I'm going to start my haircut inside the head, then I have an interior guideline. If I have an exterior guideline, then I have one that's going to be along the edge or the perimeter, the outside perimeter, the outside edge of my haircut. So interior guideline is somewhere inside the hair. An exterior guideline or your perimeter guideline are going to be on the outside or the exterior part of the hair. The two types are going to be traveling or stationary. A stationary guide doesn't move. You use the same piece of hair for the entire haircut. So if this is my guide for my haircut, I'm going to take all of the hair in the whole haircut is going to come back to that one piece of hair because it's stationary. That guideline doesn't move. The hair has to move to the guideline. The other type of guideline that you're going to use is called a traveling guideline. So in this case, the guide moves and goes to the next piece of hair that you're going to cut. So if this is the first piece of hair that I cut, and I want to cut this piece next, I'm not going to take this piece back because this would be a stationary guideline. I'm going to take my guide to the hair. My guide is traveling. So a stationary guideline is just that. It is stationary, it doesn't move, it stays the exact same for your entire haircut. A traveling guideline moves. So it goes from one piece of hair to the next and it doesn't stop until your whole haircut is complete. If you need a refresher on the areas of the head, how to locate them, and how to figure out what lines to put in the hair, check out this video right here. In the meantime, thank you for watching and have a great hair day.